for Warrick County Economic Development, February 19th. We will skip the approval of minutes and you want to do you want to do them and then approve them later, the financial reports, or?
We'll come back and do both.
Okay, so let's do new business.
Okay, let's start with new business. And the first new business, if you haven't met Jared already, I will give Jared 2 seconds to kind of just introduce himself and what he does and that kind of stuff. But Jared replaced Eric on our boards, on both of our boards. And then also Terry Philippi as a commissioner. Sarah Seaton stepped off of our board because she could never be available on Thursdays due to a work count, and we show our elected officials the attendance sheet. And so Sarah, she wants to be engaged but couldn't. She stepped down and Terry was appointed as commissioner. So Jared, just
Sure.
Introduce
Won't
yourself.
take long, but I'm Jared Bollinger. I'm with Heritage Federal Credit Union, been there about 6 years. I'm our Senior Vice President of Business Banking. Lived in the state since 2010, originally from West Virginia. 2 girls in Warrick County School Corporation. I'm involved with Warrick County Chamber of Commerce, Junior Achievement. Just happy to be here and help the county grow and be successful. So that's why I'm here.
Welcome.
Okay.
Welcome.
Excellent. If you came in a little early, you heard some of us talking about the Red Workshop. And so some of us were able to attend some of this or both days of this. Remember that there were 2 counties in Indiana selected. We collected some information from all of our towns and the economic development, put in our application for this program. It's really about rural empowerment and development. And how do you engage the community? How do you prioritize projects? And how do you build bandwidth to start getting stuff done? This is not a 2-day program. It's going to continue on through the year. There's coaching, there's follow-up workshops, there's prioritizing projects, there's going out and getting stuff done. We had a really nice turnout. I didn't see attendance list from today, but yesterday I think we had 36 people from across the county, different towns, schools, public safety, the sheriff's office, elected officials, nonprofits, all kind of coming together. And it's really, I'll just say, in the circles I'm in, it's rare to get that kind of a group together in Warrick County. Everyone kind of stays in a lot of their own bubbles. It's some of the stuff that we talked about. They provided all the materials to us, to the Economic Development Department, on a jump drive. So I may make that available to our boards if you just want to look at some of the stuff. But it really was, yesterday was more learning, today was more active in doing. And so we learned about community development and engagement, really. And so I put up a few of their things just to let you get, these were not what we talked about. I found a few of these stats interesting for you guys, and then I'll go over a few things. Is one of the questions was, when was America most productive manufacturing year? Was it in the 20s, the 50s, or the 2000s? Anyone that wasn't there want to guess?
2000.
50s after the war.
2000.
Okay, if you talk about productive, it's in the 2000s. We are making more than ever before. But the interesting fact is that first bar chart is for every $1 million invested in a manufacturing facility. In the 1950s, that equated to about 15 jobs. Right now, and that's from 2010s. So that's not even some of the newer stuff or technology or some of the stuff we hear. In 2010s, every $1 million invested has gone down to 3 jobs. And that's because of automation and technology. And you look at Alcoa here versus a similar facility in the Middle East and the technology they have, or in Australia, there's less jobs. And so there's capital investment per worker numbers and some other things. And then the other one was they were talking about the job growth since since the 60s or 70s, and basically showing how the number of attractable business jobs, so businesses that can go anywhere. Think about like Toyota. Their factory can go anywhere and they can make Toyotas and sell them in America. Those jobs since basically 1970 have dipped a whole bunch, while place-based jobs that are reliant on the population that lives there. So those are you can be a doctor anywhere, but the jobs here at Deaconess or Tri-State or whatever are here because of the population. The restaurants are here because of the population. So those jobs have gone through the roof, and it came down to a couple of things. That we did a lot of exercises about what do you like, what do you love, and what would you like to love about your community and stuff like that. And I'll just tell this group, my answer was, I like the schools and I love the trails and I would like to love our downtowns and main streets. And that just means probably there's opportunity, whether it's, you're talking about Linville or the square in Boonville. And so we use that, and when people give their answers, they don't say, not that it's not important, they don't say the stuff we talk about. No one said what they like or love or wants to love is the number of, local business incentives and the number of corporate headquarters that we have in our community and all of those things. It was all these things on the other side, kind of like my answer is quality of place. And that's why people go somewhere. And that's kind of where the jobs follow. And I know we've had this conversation before. And then just to back that up, we had like exercises today, writing a postcard from the future. If you came back and visited Warrick County, what would you like that postcard to say? And most of those things were, I'm happy that the trails network is growing and that our schools are still such a strong community asset. And we have places for our kids to play. We have places for events. And again, it goes back to those quality of place items were the things that were mentioned. And so, all right, I see Terry and Courtney are online. So when we finish this fall, we'll finish this red program. We'll circle back to those things we can vote on with a quorum. So we did a whole bunch of these exercises. I don't have anything from really a whole bunch at the end of today on there. And there's a bunch of workshops. And we talked about how to engage sections of the community. You see audiences that we engage with and then audiences that are less typical. And while people had some different answers, when we talk about community engagement, there probably are parts of our community, and I'll speak for us in economic development, that we do not engage with. And so like one of my answers was honestly, and it was on both, we engage with and don't engage with. We tend to engage with farm and agriculture when it's a direct farmer agriculture issue. We tend not to engage with farm and ag, which is a big voice here, on all of the other things, maybe because we think well, they don't care about that, or that's in the urban area or whatever, but we don't sometimes include those groups. And there's other groups that are harder to engage. And so we talked about strategies on how to engage more people in our community. We talked about what to do with the people that are pushing against what you're trying to do and how to engage them and how to listen. And I think one of the points, and anyone that was there can speak up, but when there's conflict, and there's conflict on growth almost anywhere. I learned a new term, banana, which was build almost nothing anywhere near anyone. The banana people, or something like that. But
I thought that was called a data center.
the issue is we tend to get stuck on maybe the 10% of things we disagree upon instead of the 90% of things we do agree. What, even if we're against each other on an issue, what can we agree upon? So
I think that's worldwide.
I agree.
Yeah,
And there was a lot of data they presented, Jerry. There was a gentleman that taught at Penn State, I think it was, provided a lot of background and data and stats and studies that back a lot of this up. But you just saw even today, you saw folks that were there from all around the county really talking in their groups and speaking up and suggesting stuff. I don't know if anyone that was there wants to say anything else, but I mean.
Yeah, I would just say, I just want to reiterate what you said earlier, like it was quite the representation of our county, which is really nice to see. I can just tell you in my time in my role really in education over all these years, I've not seen all of those people in the same room together. People who all have a stake in the success of our community, and it was just really nice to see that.
I use guilt and shame to get people to show
I
up.
mean, it was having people that, I mean, they weren't just in the
I
same
disagree.
room, they were
Yeah,
like,
we were,
they were
like,
having
interacting.
conversation and were, and like, actually, I mean, a bit last time, but they were actually engaged in having conversations with each other and looking at each other's ideas and things like that, so. One of the things that I thought was really interesting though is in taking on the negative instead of pushing it. So if somebody brings you the negative, agree with them, you're right, it wasn't for us, and then turn it into, so what can we do? Cause they're not used to that, they're used to you kind of getting a little amped up, defensive about why would you think that was negative, just pull them in. They said, take them off balance, pull them in, and then they're already off balance and they don't know what to do with that, so something to think about, cause I tend to get a little amped up when somebody says something, so that was kind of not always easy to do, but it was something that was very interesting to think about.
So what's the
Or
cadence?
businesses involved also?
So,
It was really cool.
no, it was,
Institutes.
we did, I mean, a lot of folks that worked for different businesses were there, but they had different hats on. It was a lot of municipality, government stuff, you know, and it was built on a list that they had about the people that are engaging the community or their town or their business merchants association or those kind of things. The cadence, Paul, they are gonna work out and set up the next set of dates. They're gonna collect all the stuff. You only see 4 things there. The whole wall was covered with these sheets that we worked on today. They're gonna get that going. We talked about how to engage people through surveys or picture stuff or interviews and other things on how to get more involvement. And so they're gonna take some of that feedback and package it for us, put it together, and then, so this is put on by Ball State and Okra. So the state of Indiana, Okra, and then Ball State, they're gonna package that together and then get on the next set of workshops. That there will be some individual, like more small group, one-on-one coaching as well as projects start to form in these different groups on what people want to accomplish and how to get them done. And it's gonna go about 6 to 8 months, start to end. We don't have those dates on the calendar yet. They said it would probably take them about 2 weeks to compile everything from here and give us the next batch of stuff. And then we'll get some homework and then put those meetings on the calendar. And we can bring new people into these meetings, so if you didn't attend the first 2, doesn't mean you can't jump in right now.
But you didn't invite any business people, I mean, how did you know about this meeting?
So basically, I invited all of our elected officials, all of our boards, you know, and our boards represented a whole bunch of folks that are our business people. Worked with each of the towns to invite people in their community, so like. You know, nonprofit, Randy Beard from Studio B was there, TriCap was that, you know, different groups were there. But I really reached out to my networks through each of the communities because it is about rural development and empowerment. And part of the application was that the majority of your cities or towns were participating. So the outreach really went to those folks, gave them the list of who they can invite and told them to invite anyone they want. And so we probably all in all sent out 150 invites and had 36 people show up. So, and like everyone said, it was a really good mix. There are certainly, like the audience sheets up there, there were groups that we did not have represented or engage with. And that's work for us to do as projects move forward. And I'll share more as we get stuff.
The together projects or ideas that you come up with is not coming through this program. It's gotta come from others.
This is not about funding at all.
That's why.
It's about-
I want to involve businesses.
It's not about,
If they enjoyed the process.
yes,
They might be more likely to help fund the project.
it's about capacity building and how to get,
Yeah.
you know, in a small town, the same probably 5 or 6 people are pushing hard to get stuff done. It's how to expand that to get more people engaged and to meet people. I'll give you another example. A lot of times if we get a group project together and all of a sudden one of you walk in and you're the banker or the accountant, we just say, okay, you'll do the books.
Yeah.
Well, what if that person is sick of doing the books and wants to be there because they care about community gardens or parks or something else? But unfortunately, we tend to, okay, Jerry, you're in construction, that's your role on our team. When Jerry may wanna pick out the logos and the color, you know, so. It's really, it was a lesson in engagement, and Courtney was there for some of yesterday, And so, we'll follow up as more stuff comes. I think, and I said that when we introduced welcoming everyone there, selfishly, I just was hoping more communication led to more collaboration in Warrick County, because I didn't know what, sometimes you get a 2-day workshop and it's a bunch of worksheets and, you're kind of sick of it. I was engaged for the 2 days and pleasantly surprised, and I think we're going in a good direction.
Right.
Okay, we have,
There was
Yep, go ahead.
representation there from each one of the little towns,
yeah,
Denison.
correct. Yeah, Tennyson had a couple people show up. And they've got a list of things, Jerry, that they wanna get done.
Do we have representative from county commissioners and the council?
So, yeah, Greg was there and Sarah Seaton was there yesterday. We had some county meetings that I had to skip today, but she couldn't make it today.
Great.
So, yeah. All
We
good.
tried to do this, in the last 35, 40 years, trying to get this thing together, and it's so hard to get them together. And a lot of it just has to do with communication,
It is tough.
So
It's-
I'm glad you're doing it. Now, is this group that's done it, are they done in other states in Indiana?
So this year, they kind of revamped this program. There used to be a other version of this. I don't even know what it was called. This is the first year for this revamped version, and they just picked 2 counties. All counties were allowed to apply, and it was kind of not competitive because there's no dollars, but they had to pick people that had engagement. And we got stuff from a lot of the communities on their projects and on people that could help, and we did our best to put the application in out of the Economic Development Office, and we were picked.
So that's a
So,
good sign. Maybe
Yeah.
people are noticing Southern Indiana. with that.
so hopefully, one of the guys that came down from Ball State, ran the new Rivertown Trail last night, ate at Cafe Arzu, and Allie brought everyone in some rosemary muffins from the group this morning. So they got a little taste. They're looking to see what the rest of Warrick County looks like when they come back for these future meetings. So, all good.
Okay.
You wanna jump back into
Yeah,
the forum?
so now that we have a quorum, looking for a motion to approve the minutes from the January 15, 2025 meeting. Motion and second. The discussion changes to the minutes. Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Financial reports.
Okay, financials were. Oh, sorry, sorry, let's take online. If you were online, Holly will call you out by name to vote yay or nay.
Lynn,
Yay.
Terry,
Yay.
Okay, financials were sent in your Friday packet form. You can look. Nothing new's been added to this. Occasionally, as things didn't get done in 2025, we've moved some of those things in the green into 2026, or we've shifted some years. Remember, everything in the green is just forecasting. None of that's been approved. Those aren't dollars that are out there. It's just so we can see how projects affect our budget and our bottom line end of year balances. We are working to get our yearly meeting with Baker Tilly here done in early March. There's deadlines, especially for the redevelopment commission, to get the annual report updated in April. You send that in. So Baker Tilly goes through all the new updates. We have all the new state budgets. As I've said before, then 25 will drop off here and we'll add one more year at the end in 2030. But that's really it. Nothing new that you guys haven't seen before. I mean,
Our motion to approve the financial discussion. There's a motion and a
Second.
second. There's a motion and a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Let's do online.
Lynn
Agree. Yeah.
and Terry.
Yes.
Okay, the financial reports are approved. Back to the new business.
okay, new business. I'm gonna touch on a couple of quick things here. So, public arts, performing arts, and Lilly grants. And so we've talked about public art here before. Actually, public art was an interesting topic for the last 2 days of these programs and what it does for communities and how it makes people feel about the places that they live. But we are working, let's start there. We're working towards a public arts commission here in Warrick County. I'm working with Allie Oliver from tourism. And the goal is to have a public arts commission that has some funding from EDIT and some funding from tourism to get some pilot projects going that puts more art into Warrick County. Eventually, we'll have an avenue where companies and the private sector can donate to that public arts funds. You can, obviously, we all can probably pick our favorite. There's all kinds of stuff. Art works rurally, it works in town, it works in roundabouts, it works on buildings, and it works in a bunch of different ways. But so that is the goal, and I'll tell this board that the goal is to have a draft of the Public Arts Commission in the next 2 to 3 months. They'll structure how the board is formed. We are thinking, just as an example, we are thinking that whoever is in the seat of the Economic Development Department, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Tourism Board, whoever those people are, have an automatic seat. And then the rest of that will be filled partially by county council and partially by the county commissioners, like a lot of our boards are. And they'll set some guidelines and some, what their purposes are and those kind of things. We want to get that up and going quickly so that we can work on some pilot projects this year. And then we also want to get it up and going quickly because as I get to the Lilly grants, there may be an opportunity to take our seed funding and basically get some match funding. Does that make sense? So as that draft ordinance gets put together, we can talk it out in here for what's missing, but then eventually it's the commissioners that form, that do the county ordinances and create the boards. And then county council, when it comes to editor tourism dollars, they have to appropriate dollars and be on board as well. So any question, let's stick on public arts first. Like public art, does anyone have any questions?
How's this format? Is it 5013C or?
So that's a great question.
Yeah.
And that is the first question. We've studied a bunch of them, mostly through Indiana.
Yeah.
And you can do it a couple of different ways. You see that it is in a lot of places, like in Bloomington and some other places, it's a government.
Function.
Yes.
It's, okay.
However, in other places,
So how does that work? When a government board is trying to do private
it's a good question.
foundation type fundraising.
And so what you normally do, Paul, is you do have a nonprofit group that comes alongside of it. And because like public art, if we're talking truly like it's public, if it's going in the county roundabout or on a county street or crosswalk or on the traffic boxes or on an overpass, when it's going on infrastructure, it is a public project.
Yeah.
And so you'll see in a lot of communities, they have side by side. I'll give a good example, like we have the Warrick County Parks Department and the Parks Board, and we have the Warrick Parks Foundation. And so there's kind of both arms. The easiest thing for us to get up and going, and even to get some pilot projects going, is to do it on those public spaces. And so we're starting with that, but in order, to your point, in order for, for your workplace or your workplace or your workplace to either say, one, we got a beautiful wall right here, we want to participate, so it's on your private property, or raise private dollars, because a lot of people do care about art. That would come through, instead of the county piece, that would come through the nonprofit piece. And so we've done a lot of research. There's no one, if there was one template that worked everywhere, they would do it. And it seems like some places, the private side piece comes first, and then the public dollars and the public rules and structure comes beside. Other places, one comes for, the public side comes first. And in other places, in bigger cities, sometimes these things just come together organically. And I mean, I've been in Warrick County 20 years. We don't have anything like this. And so we are trying to get out in front of it. And like I said, the county piece will have structure to it, where it has a purpose and what its intention is. And then there will probably be different flexibility on that private side. We'll have to wind up with her.
Sure.
Okay. Let's shift very quickly to performing arts, and I just want to tell this board of a concept that's been coming together. And that concept has been to have a performing arts facility in Warrick County. And to Paul's thing, when we talk about public and private and all of that mix, we have had some conversations with the school corporation. I don't think it's a secret in it. And the idea originally started over there at the schools, only because, and I don't wanna speak for the schools, so interrupt me, please, Dr. Redmond, if I am getting this wrong, but basically. I think anyone that has, we have some older facilities at our 3 high schools. Fantastic, I go to summer musical, big friends over there at Castle with Eric Ante and everything he does, had kids in the band and show choir and all that stuff. But all 3 facilities, auditoriums in Warrick County are a little dated. The technology has gone, has expanded and all of those things. So I think the school corporation's decision is, do we refurbish 3 auditoriums? Or do we do something that works to expand the performing arts programs throughout Warrick County, the middle schools, all of those things? Where the existing facilities will still exist for practices and for other things, and you stay at your school and all of those things. So the question is, can we work on something that works for the schools? It works for the county, and then when the schools aren't using it, I'm just gonna make up an imaginary number. Let's say they need it 50% of the calendar year. What happens the other 50%? Can we right size it to bring in stuff that the public can buy tickets for, and shows, or whatever you like, music or comedy or whatever it is? Does that work, and is there a place for an art gallery or art, bring that kind of sculpted, those kind of workrooms in there? I don't know the answer. This is not my area of expertise. But I think we've just had some very initial conversations about how this can work in Warrick County.
We are very early in concept.
And that there's a need.
We have a need for some upgrades. We think there could be huge potential.
And
something like
so
this.
that brings us to the Lilly grant. There's funding for arts and culture through Lilly. It's not a ton, because the state got $65 million and there's 90 some counties. So this is not going to build a performing arts center. That's why I'm saying there could be some match for our public art piece. There could be some stuff in there for the performing arts, but we're really on the early end. Every county had to do a strategic arts and culture plan. That went through EREP and SWRDA, which right there, Southwest Indiana Regional Development Authority. That plan is available. If anyone wants it, I'll email it to you or whatever. That plan was done by Hunden Partners. They have expertise, and they've done a lot of stuff in Chicago, which is where I'm from, so I know some of the theaters and other things they've worked on. They have some expertise in performing arts space, and they created what the gaps are in the region. If you're gonna get Lilly dollars, your project has to fit the gaps in your region that you had to study, which we have. And in that study, they gave a regional opportunity matrix, and then they broke the opportunity matrix down by county. So if we look in Warrick County, the things that are in red or in yellow are what we would consider needs. Number 1, performing arts center. Number 2, art gallery studio space. Number 3, arts and culture marketing. Number 4, public art. Number 5, artist support services. And then number 6 is dedicated festival grounds. And designated festival grounds is on every county, because we don't have a place. We have the 4-H center, and they do the fall festival on the street. There isn't like a festival grounds that you could have multiple festivals a year and has all the infrastructure and the stages and all that stuff done. That was, I'll just tell you my opinion after reading the study, that was more like a downtown riverfront, Evansville kind of festival ground kind of thing, whether it fits right downtown or not, but that's what they're talking about. But if you listen to those other things, we were already working on a public arts commission before this was moving forward. And the need at the Warrick County School Corporation was an organic need. Whether we get Lilly dollars or not, some of the things we're working on and talking about here certainly fill gaps that seem to be there. Now, Dr. Redmond and I are gonna be on a call tomorrow with Hunden Partners, because they've already done all this work in the region. As we started talking about a performing arts center, we figured we might as well ask them, since they've studied the entire region, what do they think works in Warrick County? Because most of the performing venues are all in like a 9-block square downtown Evansville. Victory, Old National, Ford Center, Veterans Coliseum, there's other ones down there that I can't think of right now. What works here? What works maybe in the Epworth Tiff area where there's good access if you're coming in for a show, it's right off the interstate, it's central to our population. We're gonna use these folks, or at least we're gonna feel them out on, are they the right people to maybe do our own feasibility on what the right size and scope is, because is that a 4,000 seat place, is that a 1,200 seat place? How many people does Castle's Auditorium hold?
790.
790. And it sells out 4 days in a row for summer musical. So I don't know, I think more than 790 is a good number, it makes sense, but I couldn't tell you if we could support 4,000. So we're trying to get some experts in the room. I just want to tell this board, the redevelopment commission, I want to put these things on our radar. Because as things may start moving forward, this is one of those, I'll tie it back to the workshop we just had. These are one of those amenities that people feel should be in their community.
A couple questions, the funding for this, could it partly come from the school corporation?
I would think that if it's gonna be a school corporation building, that it would definitely come, but I will tell you, it's going to need to be, if we want it to work for the community as well, we're going to need to partner to get the right space and the right details in this building to make it happen for Warrick County. But yes, the thought today, if we had to pick, it will be a school building of some kind that the schools would maintain and operate and certainly provide funding for. But let's just say the school only needs 1,100 seats. But we want a black box practice studio for smaller stuff, and we want all these other things for the community. That I see this being a collaborative project to get the right thing for Warrick County, if this is a project that moves forward.
Where do our students go now for that type of, in Warrick County?
Each
We go to Evansville,
school.
Well,
students that need this higher learning.
we have programming at all 3 of our high schools, and we have our theater arts programs, and they perform at the 3 respective high schools. We're just saying, we started looking at this because of what Steve said earlier, is it more efficient for us to do upgrades at all 3 of the locations? Is it a better opportunity to do something standalone that's accessible to all 3 of the high schools? And we were just exploring that, and then we still don't have an answer to that yet, but just in talking with Steve, we were exploring this option, then we heard about the Lilly dollars, and then thought maybe there's an opportunity to do something that would benefit the school system, our students, and our community, maybe it's one project. We don't have those answers yet.
And so
It would enhance our educational departments.
Oh, for sure, I mean, just because of the
Do we have this
upgrade of
to-
the facilities, right? I mean, the students and their talent level, I think is amazing, and then the instruction they're getting from their directors, it's amazing, the music and arts, show choirs, all of those things, we just don't have
It's
to have
it's
it.
a facility problem.
Facilities-based problem.
Yeah,
and
So,
anyone that's had a
Just
kid
to,
sorry, go ahead, Lynn.
I just wanted to piggyback on that conversation. If it's not enough to build a building, 'cause we all know the cost there, is it better to focus on the programming and education that could provide higher level education for performing arts in Warrick County? I don't, it sounds like to me, the potential to build a building is not there with this funding.
So it's not there for Lilly for sure, and so are you saying try to take advantage of the Lilly dollars that way?
Yeah, so I would assume that they also are supporting programming and education as well. I just don't want us to just close to thinking about that versus thinking about a building.
100%, and so I went to an open house this week on the Lilly funding, and if you guys can see the screen. This is the issue, is that the Lilly funding, like all grants, they open it up for about 8 weeks and are like, hurry up and get your application in. The grant is open right now, it closes April 15th, and you can kind of see the quick turnaround in the deadline. Now, the interesting thing about Lilly, it's gonna have some matching requirements like Ready. It may not stick to 60-20-20 because a lot of these projects will not be private sector dollars in the arts. These projects also have to be brought by either a public organization, school, municipality, library, whatever, or a 501c3, and cannot be brought by the private sector. Now, private sectors can come alongside and be a part of a project, but they cannot be the person driving the project. And so you think, to Lynn's point, there is a very short timeline, which is why I think we can fit the public art matching dollars and request if we get that going, because that's achievable, I guarantee that. But to Lynn's point is, if we can't get dollars for the building, do we want to lose the opportunity? And I'll add one thing, Lynn, to what you said is, we kind of thought as well, I don't know until we talk to Hunden Partners tomorrow, whether, and we can talk to the schools about the programming and the education piece that you spoke about. Maybe the Lilly dollars, if there is a feasibility study to get the right size building, it's about not letting the opportunity pass. We may not fit in the timeline or the box. I think what we're trying to do fits in extremely well. But so it's a short timeline. And then one last thing to Jerry's point about, where do kids go? If you've had kids in show choir or jazz band or, all those things, I can't tell you the number of big high schools around Indianapolis that I went to jazz band competitions at. And in Louisville, instead of having those things here. So anyone that's been in band knows about ISMA and all of those things. Can we have the show choir contest here? Can we have the jazz band performances here, which again brings tourism in as well? That's why I think it's kind of, if this project would move forward on whatever deadline it's on, whether this is a 2027 project or some other time, the school corporation, the county, and tourism need to be a part of this conversation, because it can not only help our current kids, but it can bring some of those activities here. Does that make sense?
So when I think of a performing arts place, I'm more thinking like Victory Theater, so it's something that the school corporation could use for their facility. But we could also bring in, so if it's 12 to 1,500 people, you can bring in a comedian, you could bring in smaller musical acts that feel something like that. We could have a facility that would bring entertainment type projects to Warrick County. Is that something the school corporation would entertain?
Yes, that's exactly.
If we come alongside you to help out?
So we were having this conversation internally at the school corporation, as we always do. What's next for us? Where are the gaps? What needs improvements? That sort of thing. So we were already having a conversation about what to do in this space. And then when this opportunity came up and Steve and I started talking, we're like, well, maybe there's a bigger opportunity here that not only impacts students, but the entire community, which is exactly what you're talking about. It would be, we need it these days, these times, these spaces. We can host these big competitions potentially. But then on the days, weeks, the summer months, like those times, then it would be rented out, if you will, or available.
Private facility.
So we're on the front end. We're on conversation number 4.
Very early, very, very
Have you
early
considered the
conversation.
school corporation being a user and having the public entity being the owner, or with an operator involved? Or have you?
I don't think we've had those
Yeah.
conversations.
Have you only been on the other side of it?
Ready to discuss right now.
Okay. And
We'll have a tiny update tomorrow after we talk to Hunden Partners even,
I
but
think the first.
we're
thing
just
is
trying to
we
figure
understand
out
what do we actually
how
need,
these things
what do we
work.
Support.
Yeah.
Is it 4,000? Is it 1,200? Is it 600?
Right.
What is
have you
it?
got any pricing for separate facilities? So if you decided to drop one at Castle and one at
No.
Boonville and, okay.
This is a
It's
extremely
inclusive right now.
good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Is 5 years away, if everything comes together, but it's a great idea.
It's not 5 years away if you want to try to take a shot at Lily.
Well, Lily,
No,
I don't think Lily's gonna impact the building.
Can't happen. I am listening. My ears are
Lily,
working.
the opportunity for Lily, in our opinion, is maybe a feasibility. study.
Right, because $65 million over 92 counties is not going to go very far.
Which is a great.
It's not gonna make a
They
difference. on
expect
this
it
building.
they expect it to be more like $1 million a can.
I mean, they'll spread it around. I don't know what
Okay.
their answer is, but I agree with,
Too quick to happen.
I agree with Paul.
I love you, I love your enthusiasm, and you know what, I think we should probably also talk about a minor league baseball stadium while we're talking about
Let's
it.
do that.
But
Let's do that.
anyway,
But this is actually doable.
they both,
Not by July first, though.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm with you.
all right,
So-
move on.
We'll move on. Two projects that affect both of our boards because of tax abatement. We give this board some updates on Vivid and Firefly. The biggest piece of news is that Project Firefly pulled their agreement on the purchase agreement on the Shell building on February 10th. The reason given is the project now changes and they are gonna be up over 300,000 square feet. And they want a 30-acre site, and they're even considering sites up to 50 acres. So that's the letter that we received on February 10th. And so they're looking at other options, including in Warrick County. We have a site that we're gonna talk about on Monday. Tangent to the industrial park that could fit their need. And we'll see where that goes. This project needs to land in the region. You know, they were 2 weeks away from, you know, the purchase agreement deadline on this. They did some other due diligence. This is a Japanese automotive interior company. They've had a couple of tweaks in what they want to do from when they first came here. It's gotten bigger and then a little bigger. So that's the update on Project Firefly. Project Vivid is still moving forward. We've been dialing in utility upgrades and costs on sewer and water. We've had multiple meetings on that with Elberfeld and Evansville and with the project themselves. What I think I told you guys in the update email, the plan right now is I'm going to ask Project Vivid for a letter of intent because their project, really their announcement of this project, we talked this as an international company and it's coming down to folks overseas deciding when to make this investment. And so they've spent millions of dollars on engineering on the site and they're bringing more people on to work on this site. But we collectively, we are holding a 110-acre parcel. And so there are other projects that need 30 to 50 acres. Now, this Project Vivid is, as we've talked about, is a game-changing project that would be the biggest thing since Alcoa came. And they are working on our site in our community. So not that the letter of intent is going to, you know, do anything except give us some comfort. But I think they easily can outline the effort and the dollars and the direction they're going here. And so that's kind of the next step. And I had a meeting on the 20th, but the lead on that project is going to be in Seattle. And so we rescheduled for like the first or second week in March on that. But I will ask for that letter before that. I just think it's a good thing to have.
How many acres do we have left over to develop?
Basically, everything we have left, Jerry, would go to this Project Vivid, about 110.
110.
We have some little other lots, but they're not continuous.
So was this other company that was gonna take the Shell building, were we gonna be able to do that in this too? Or
No.
not?
No,
So now that.
Now when they expanded the acreage, for a while they were saying.
there is another parcel that is 40, it's 50-acre parcel, about 40 of it's buildable. That is not part of the North Warrick Industrial Park, but it's available. And so right next to where utilities are, so we're gonna talk about,
It's adjacent.
yes,
The one that sits there on 57,
Yeah.
it's on the right side of the drive is.
we're gonna talk about that parcel on Monday with this project. So we're trying to shift gears. To your point, Jerry, the issue is outside of North Warrick Industrial Park. I don't have a list of cards to play. I mean, I can show them private sites that don't have any water or sewer to it, stuff that has a for sale sign, and there's stuff for sale on Epworth that we don't want, you know, a smokestack by or whatever else. And so that should be a red light and an opportunity.
Well, that's
And
one
I
of
guess-
the reasons why we set up State Route 61, right? We
Correct.
just gotta get utilities out there.
Then we gotta get ground. And so, in redevelopment commissions.
Right.
You know, we can talk about that, but I mean, not having multiple sites. To show, and remember, we do have a site, we have a big site, but we're holding it because of what's going on out there, and I think that's the right decision. We need to start thinking about what's next.
So what I'm saying, so the people that wanted 30 to 50 acres that we had tied up there, we couldn't give them 30 to 50 because wait for the 110, is that sort of the
Because,
deal?
because it would cancel out the availability to put that manufacturing facility from Vivid on.
So
the-
we feel like that Vivid is, could possibly be coming yet.
They've already
it-
spent millions of
it's a-
dollars on their due diligence.
It's a $750 million project that we would want here in the community. And the jobs that we would want. in the
That's the big one you've been talking about.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean, just phase one is 800 million and they're gonna have 50 to 60 acres left over when they do phase one, so.
so we're still in the running a bit, you feel like?
We're the only one in. the
right now,
running
we're
for
the
that.
choice for that project, but again, it's outside of. The decisions are outside of maybe the North American market.
Well, Vivid, could they use the Firefly property now that it's not?
So,
We've been talking to them about that.
are we
for
talking about the
months.
Shell building?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
kind of doesn't fit on their
Okay,
manufacturing campus or whatever. They certainly could, they know that building was available.
so my next question is, can you be talking to Prime Foods about that Shell building?
I just touch base with
They
them,
already have.
I touch base with them about every 2 months. And I don't know that their project that they needed that building for has made a lot of progress.
But you had somebody else looking at the Shell building, right? Did that
I've got,
still going on?
yeah, let's go to redevelopment commission meeting for
Okay.
that, just because we've got
Yeah, there's others that are in.
other stuff. But I just wanna tell this group, because we talked about tax abatement for both of these projects. So it is important to EDAC to understand where these two projects that we've talked about tax abatement are at. Okay? Next. Let's talk about the next 5 community projects. And it kind of, I don't wanna keep picking on the 2-day workshop that we had, but it's about getting projects done and getting stuff moving. And we need to keep stuff moving in Warrick County. And so I just wanna give everyone a quick update. The new Scales Lake Gatehouse, which is desperately needed at Scales Lake. That project is moving forward. The Parks Department is going to getting design plans and getting ready to put that project out to bid, maybe in June. The plan is still for those dollars to come from edit, from the remaining parks bond. There was money when the event center came in under budget, that the parks still have and has been earning interest in their parks bond. They're gonna take some money out of that, and they're gonna take a little bit out of their parks fund, out of the money that they have. But, so it won't be maybe a 3-way equal split, maybe the parks fund and edit will take a big chunk. And then what we can get out of the parks fund will be the remainder of that, but that project is moving forward and hoping to go to bid in June. 4-H. 4-H, I've talked with 4-H a whole bunch of times, remember, it's kind of rehashing, the county owns the 4-H center, it's our property. Just like Freeman Park's our property. That big, they call it the animal barn, but it's the big shelter there, that building was built in 62. And added on to several times, and it's probably every board and every piece of that's been replaced, so it's kind of like a different building. But that needs to happen, it's going to expand what they can do at 4-H, it's gonna allow them to do some winter storage under there, make some money, bring all the animals except the horses under there. It's gonna be modular so that they can pull all the pens out and they can have car shows and boat shows and all kinds of other things, and adding some bathrooms to that facility. Regardless, that building is estimated to be at about $600,000. The plan is, and I've been working with county council on these edit dollars to offer them about $450,000 in edit for that building, contingent on them raising the rest of the funds. And so that offering, maybe go to county council in April, that will help them. For any of us that have raised dollars, it's way easier to get the last 10 than the first 10. It will be able to allow them to take it around for folks for naming rights and for other things and say, we're already 75% of the way there. We just need your help with the last 25. So it would be actually given once the project is fully bankable. But that is the current plan. I just want to let people know 4-H, in my opinion, my kids were not in 4-H, but we have a lot of friends that were. 4-H is a big part of Warrick County, big part of our history. And I think it's really important. And so we go back to quality of place and the kind of community you want to live in. So that's another project that needs to get done. And
How
if you
much
go-
was it? How much?
they have a quote from one of the steel building manufacturers, $600,000. And I think that was some in-kind stuff to tear down the existing building and sell some of the metal and some of the other things. So they're trying to be creative and trying to get that done. That's our current plan. Like any of these edit dollars will come to county council appropriating those dollars. Working with Morley on some final design stuff on this Elberfeld Pocket Park. This is another thing. We want some collaboration. Elberfeld, we think this park's gonna cost a little over $200,000. I think Johnson Park in Boonville, having a community space that your community can gather, decorate for the holidays, be proud of. Courtney secured some dollars through the Community Foundation and Work Trails. Elberfeld's thrown in some money. We have some money from the Centerpoint Foundation. Heritage Federal donated the property there, which is across the street from the bank there in Elberfeld. And so we have a really nice kind of robust group, but it's not gonna get them across the finish line. So as soon as we get some more design stuff dialed in, we'll go to the county and ask for the closing amount to make that project happen, which we haven't done. A lot of community projects, redevelopment commission did some sewer upgrades up there for the industrial park, but they think it's the first step of really maybe kicking off rejuvenating Main Street there in Elberfeld.
Where's it gonna be located?
It is, I don't know the cross streets, Jerry, but there's a big parking lot there currently. It's across the street diagonally from the bank.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Tavern, space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Two other things, we already talked about the Public Arts Commission, so I won't even mention it. And then after we get the Public Arts Commission going the next 2 or 3 months, we're gonna work on this county rebranding. So that is just getting a new logo and branding that we all can feel really proud about the community that we live in. So, any questions on that stuff? Okay. Let's see, old business, I'll go through fairly quickly. February, so after our last meeting, the county council approved 6-0, the flood sensor dollars. As soon as we get that going, Matt at EMA is ready to do that. That's another project where we're trying to work with different places and different people in different departments in the county to get more stuff done. I think this is going to make Warrick County safer and provide better communication to first responders and to the highway department and to our residents. So that's, check that off the list, basically. Couple of NDOT recaps. Number one, last meeting, I came out of this group to talk to EMS and talk to the sheriff. And I talked to the Ohio Township Fire Department. What do they think about no left turns at Bell Road? And all of them had the same response that all of you did, is that doesn't seem like a good idea. However, they all wanted to know more. I sent them some of the studies and traffic counts because they wanted to just understand what problems we were solving, what it looks like, you know, how we had to walk through like with our hands, how people would turn, and what a left turn now is a right turn and a U-turn and then a left turn. And so we went through all of that, gotten feedback. It's pretty similar. NDOT is still on maybe July as the next round of talks. Remember, these are 2030 projects and they want to get their consultant on board before we kind of hash this thing out. So I'll continue to update you guys, but I may not have any updates for a while. I will tell you on this side is the Epworth displaced left. And I had a few folks from NDOT, including Brian Malone, if you remember Brian, who worked with us on the Epworth. He was kind of my local Vincennes contract, and Brian did work with us as much as Brian's retiring April 1st, it's not a joke. He is retiring. So it was good to see Brian, but they came in to say that if you look at these two pictures, I think it does a good idea. If you've been through that intersection, it's all gray new pavement, including the medians. And you can really see in that top picture, it's all one color and people are hitting the medians. So they just got some funding. So they're doing displaced lefts at Cross Point, at Stockwell, at Burkhart and Cross Point. And I think there's one at Stockwell that's a 50-50 intersection. They're gonna take there's a new like Durabond substance we've talked about with the trails. that bonds with concrete. It's like a burnt red color that they're gonna do, and they're gonna do the curves around here that should really stand out from all that gray.
Really?
I don't have a date yet, but when they have that, it's probably going to be in the summer. You would expect all of the inner curbs, so not the outside curbs against the grass, but all of the inner curbs will get done. And I think it will help because we continue to see people hit those medians. Does that make sense? Okay,
They didn't
what
say anything about the stop signs at the end of the slip line.
curb doesn't stop at the stop signs at the end of the slip lanes? And so we,
Oh, yeah.
we have been,
You always do that to me, Steve.
I just did it. Allegedly.
Allegedly. No, I.
We've always asked for those to be turn on red after full stop. I hit them again with it. Brian Malone knows it. I said, once he retires, the two of us can just go out there with some screwdrivers. Just kidding. But they know that it's an issue and they think that it's something that can still be discussed.
Oh, okay.
That's as far as we got. One more INDOT update. So if you don't know, all the construction changes are called the Lloyd for You. That's all the actual road work. Then they came out with Lloyd for All. The Lloyd for All was a multimodal study of how to make the Lloyd more crossable and accessible to pedestrians, bikes, and other forms of transportation. Well, that study ended at the county line. And so working with the MPO, we talked about, hey, it would be really nice if you also studied Warrick County, because we like bikes and walking and connectivity. And the MPO has worked with the state, and I was updated by Brian Malone and the INDOT team that they got approval to extend that. Originally, we were talking 261. They're gonna extend it all the way to French Island Trail.
Yeah.
And so I'll tell you, Warwick Trails has been working really hard to try to figure out a way to cross from that side of the county to access the southern trails and the bike lanes and the Rivertown Trail and how to connect all of those things. And it's been a real challenge. So the only update I have here is that they are going to get with us in the next couple weeks to try to set some dates to catch us up, because they've been doing that study for a little bit. There's been a survey out and all kinds of things. They're gonna work to catch Warrick County up to where they're at. So we may have some rapid fire surveys and workshop session and that kind of stuff. If we wanna be engaged and make a difference, this is one of those things. Gotta shame you to show up, everyone, and show up and be engaged. If we want, this is a good thing. So let's do our part in it, is what I would say. I don't have the dates yet.
But they're evaluating bringing bikes onto the road.
No, it's more about crossing and additional amenities. I don't think, as a cyclist, do not bike on the.
Yeah, that's what.
Don't.
That's what I.
Okay,
That's
and
what
I'm really comfortable on a bike, but no.
That's the same thing.
Okay. Everybody, that makes sense? Or when I get dates, and they may come before even our next meeting, I will send them out. Okay, just letting you know as we follow what's going on at the State House. We're coming up really soon on the last day of the session where bills will be dead if they don't pass. I sent an updated bill report to everyone. There's a lot of interesting stuff on housing, on taking decisions away from local area planning, zoning, on grease traps to TIF, to all kinds of things, education and taxes. Townships going away, all kinds of interesting things, so we kind of think sometimes that's far away and doesn't impact us, it really does. So if you want to pay attention, there's some summaries and some links if you want to figure out where they're at, but some of those things are rounding the corner, and when stuff passes, I'll try to do a deep dive and update us on the things that are going to impact Warrick County or our communities or our schools or whatever. Does that make sense? Okay. Additional items, really, we're gonna start, this is maybe a redevelopment thing, but we do incentives here too. We always get asked, I just had somebody come in the office and say they were at a wonderful outdoor shopping mall. It was outdoor and there was all these chairs and there was all these games and spaces for kids to play, and I think they were in like, Columbus, Ohio. They always come in and the first thing is, how come we can't have that? And I don't have an answer,
We
But-
can.
but I wanna start showing our boards which deal with this stuff. We're gonna take projects and maybe every month, we're not gonna really talk about this project in Westview. But we're just gonna summarize the project, what it is, the total cost, what's available. And what incentives went into that project. And how they did it. Because we've talked about developer purchase bonds, and we know about TIF, and we know about tax abatement and stuff like that. And this is a pretty clean one. We had another one that had like 9 different forms of incentive in one big project around Indianapolis. But you can see here, to apartment buildings, retail space, dog park, public art, video screen, outdoor gathering space, plaza,
Yeah.
all of those things. I just wanted to show this group. This is just one. We probably have already like 9 of them in the queue. Just keep showing you guys stuff for those people that are like, hey, I went somewhere and it was this. We'll just keep putting them up there. I may just add them to the update emails and we don't have to always talk about them here, but I just want you guys thinking, and you'll see some projects that are really nice. And we may go back and look at ones that you've already been at and have been done. These are some that we get through news stories, but, and there's always, there'll be links when I start sharing it digitally, if you wanna click and read more or whatever else. Does that make sense? Just wanna start having those conversations on how things happen. The only other thing is upcoming dates. I don't know that there's any more seats left, but the gala is coming up for the Parks Foundation.
Oh,
It
it's
is
sold out, that's great.
the only time I get dressed up a year in Warrick County. And it's always a good time to raise money for the parks. It's a good event. And but there's all kinds of other good stuff going on. Just put some upcoming dates on there and then I will open it up. Is there any other board business?
Steve, I may have missed this, but curious where the project is where you looked at lakes and shopping and housing and such off of Epworth.
So, Lynn, that is either if you wanna use, we're not gonna get all the way through there in redevelopment commission. But that project is moving and the redevelopment commission is working on incentives on basically phase 1 of that entire piece. And if Lynn, if you wanna kind of look at the layout and what's going on and the latest iteration, or even other folks, on your team, wanna take a peek at that, I'm happy to have a, separate meeting or come visit to really tell you guys kind of where it's at and what the timelines are.
Thank you.
Okay, just reach out. You know where to find me.
Motion to adjourn in a second.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, aye? We're adjourned.
Call the meeting in order. And then, so January 15th, it's 4:10. Do we have, let's go over minutes. Does anybody have any questions or changes for minutes?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Steve.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Do we have online?
No.
No.
Okay. Opposed, same sign. All right, minutes pass. The financials, Steve.
Okay, financials were sent in the packet, same story as our first meeting. You'll see the summary of our funds up here. And then, like I said, we will get to this meeting with Baker Tilly where we'll move 2025 out of there and move to 2030. Things that didn't happen in 25, you know, if I can shift them, I'll shift them over. But you guys have seen all of these projects and all of these items before. And I'm happy to answer any questions on TIF financials.
Does anybody have questions? Not, do I have a motion to approve financials?
Motion.
Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, financials, finances pass.
Okay. Claims. Moving on to claims, in your packet, you saw every one of these claims and all of the receipts outside of the bottom one, which came in after we sent it. That's $408.18, and that's with Newburgh Sewer. That is their oversight of doing sewer work on the Epworth Point project. For the sports complex, that's their coming out on site and checking your sewer installation. And so that's a fee that we need to pay. And since it came in, we wanted to squeeze it on there and get them paid in a timely manner. I think Holly has a copy of that here if anyone wants to open it, but we've reviewed it and offered up for payment with the rest of the claims that are up there.
I'll make a motion to approve the TIF claims.
Second.
Do I have a second, Steve? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right.
Okay. Let's jump to some action items, and I got one more action item to add to this that's come up. So the first one is to ratify my signature on a time extension. This has to do with the sports complex piece of land. It has to do with the fact that we all knew how wet the spring was and that the dirt work didn't get going until it dried up and it made sense to move dirt. Well, what they've done is they ran into then the asphalt plants closing for temperature and for the winter. And so due to the contract to get that done, they are 90% of the way there, but the asphalt plant closed. You'll see, I didn't want to do this again, so I asked them to put kind of the worst case scenario on a time extension up here. There's no dollar amount attached to this change order, but we are changing the time based on when E&B paving can get the asphalt plant open, and that can be anywhere from the end of February to the beginning of April. So there is flux in there on that opening. We are first up when they do reopen, but without knowing that, then calculating the amount of work that needs to get done, that is the change order that I believe was sent along in the update email as well for you guys.
I have a motion to ratify Steve's signature on this like extension.
Motion.
Second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Same sign, all right.
Okay, next action item. So we have a TIF pledge resolution. And so we are going forward with, this is phase one. This is kind of what Lynn asked about in EDAC. Phase one, these are these draw bonds that we are doing. It's cleared a lot of hurdles. I actually have another slide to remind us on the timeline here. Past the first reading at county council, the commissioners have some stuff to do. We had an EDC meeting. Remember, that's the small group. Right now, that's Eric Pryor, Steve Smith, and myself today in a public hearing that was posted in the paper and all the places we have to notify people. No one came to the public hearing. We had to do our step. One thing that the redevelopment commission needs to do is just pledge those TIF dollars, which we've already approved that amount. The TIF pledge is right here. It will need to be signed by the members that are here, if approved. I believe that's gonna be a resolution for the redevelopment commission. It's for the February meeting. So it's gonna be 2026-01.
We didn't have any last month, did we, resolution? I don't think we did.
No, this is the first resolution
That is not for sure.
of the year. I will have to look for a clean copy. Let's see. Skateboard.
You got a clean one?
What are you talking about? This thing?
Yes.
I should, maybe
It's front and back, does that matter?
no,
She's got it.
if not, we'll have to track you down and have you sign it.
No, she's got it.
Thanks again.
She's got it. Safety's got it.
Okay, well then let's go with that one.
Yeah.
So I'm not thinking
I think I heard it.
stuff here. Okay.
Is that what you mean?
Yep.
Got it.
Good job, Sid.
You know, I got to work at 6:20 this morning because I had to go to, it's like front and stuff.
Yes.
Keep it all together. It's a hot mess.
Okay, do I have a motion, sorry, distraction, bringing, to approve the TIF pledge resolution? Second, okay, all those in favor? Opposed, same sign, alright, the resolution passes also.
Okay, I have one third one that didn't make it. There's a Project Vanguard that is looking at North Warwick. And we're gonna go over when we get to the North Warwick TIF what that project is. But that project had us sign an NDA. All NDAs have to stop at HERB. And we always had language that we are a public entity and a public department. And so an NDA, we have to follow open door laws and requests for documents,
Records.
all those things. And so we just put all of that into our NDAs and say, here's what it is. So we mark that up to engage with that project and their site selectors. I went ahead and signed that NDA after Herb marked it up and be looking for this board to just ratify my signature on the NDA to talk about Project Vanguard.
I motion to ratify Steve's signature. Second.
Motion.
Okay, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those same sign, okay. Passes.
Okay, Epworth TIF. So a couple of things. We just talked about pledging those TIF revenues. Here's kind of the calendar and where we're at for this bond. February 3rd, County Council 6-0 was the first reading. They have a second reading at the March meeting, so that's gonna be March 3rd. That's when they adopt the bond ordinance. February 19th, we had the EDC meeting, which I talked about already earlier today in the public hearing. And right now, we just did the other February 19th item, which is the TIF pledge resolution. The commissioners need to vote and sign the trust indenture and the forgivable loan agreement. Because they are the executive of the county. Talked with the commissioners about that, they have copies of that. They plan to do it right now at their March 9th meeting. They are going to see if they can do it at an earlier meeting. It doesn't have to be in order, but we need those things done before we can close on this bond. So if all of those things check out, and we've only got 2 more on there, if all those things check out, we will close on that bond early March, let's say. If the commissioners get theirs done at an earlier meeting, we can close anytime after March 3rd. If the commissioners don't, we can close anytime after March 9th. Does that make sense? Okay,
So it's 5 million in incentives, 4.5 million will be paid at closing, so whenever we get the deal closed, we'll hand Epworth Development a check for 4.5 million and they can get started on their project.
and we will repay that draw from Old National because they've worked with us on no penalty and that we can pay that down. And then the remainder of that's not until the project is done, and that's outlined in the economic development agreement and all of those pieces. So we are on pace. We want to get it done because when the weather gets nice, we expect dirt to really start moving.
The majority of what you're gonna see though is dirt work to begin with, but it
Dirt and
also,
infrastructure.
it also includes 37 garden homes and townhomes, so we'll get a little vertical,
We want the first neighborhood to get actually up and going.
yeah.
Okay, if no questions on that, I wanna update this board on where we stand on the sports center. So what I'm looking for the board, I guess this is another action item, although we won't be, taking any real action tonight. Is we're looking for the board to authorize negotiations on the new incentive limits that were talked about. What those were up to 3.5 million on the construction side, that would be an upfront TIF incentive. And then up using the project's taxes on the operations and the stabilization of the project. And that would be up to, 100% of the taxes of this project. And again, these are, I guess, let's say up to numbers. So I'm looking for the authority here in the meeting to authorize those negotiations. We still have things we're requesting from the project,
Question about the 3.5. Do you want that to all be tip as opposed to trying to?
100%.
Got it.
We talked about updated construction timeline, updated project cost, your debt equity breakdown, LOI from your bank that they're going to actually fund and finance the remainder of the project. And so all of those things are in the works, but basically, based on those negotiations, it will be come back to actually have a proposal of where we've settled on a project that's moving forward, potentially in the March meeting, if we can make that kind of progress. So all we're talking about now is I want to feel comfortable that the board's good with negotiating those initial incentives. One other update is we talked about the timeline with the state and all of those things. We've made progress on that, and our friends at EREP are working with the state on extending the completion timeline on this building. And so as I get continual updates on that, I will continue to update this board. But that's the quick update.
How did you describe the tax revenue? Is that up to 100%?
I would say up to 100%. That gives us the flexibility, up to 100%
Of only the sports facility?
tax
land or the
dollars,
Entire 20.
the sports facility. The taxes that project throws off.
Do I have a motion? David,
Yes.
I'll second.
Second.
All those does anybody have any questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Oh,
Oh, go ahead.
You got it in just in time.
What, yeah,
Sorry, I just wanna pause for a second. I
Oh, that's
that's not a
right.
question, like I vote on this, but I'm abstaining
Abstaining.
out, okay. Just.
So
clear my
Jenna will be
hair.
abstaining,
Sorry.
Jenna is abstaining from this.
Not from this
Oh, not
one,
from this
right?
one.
right, Jenna's
Okay.
on the SORTA board as well,
I am
so
doing
she will
the same.
abstain from all votes related to
Yeah.
this project.
Just, yeah,
Yeah,
this one too. All votes,
I would just say.
You
all
can do-
of it,
Does it-
right?
yeah,
I will make whatever.
I guess you
We
get.
don't, we don't need your votes. Why
Yeah.
don't you just
Yeah.
abstain?
if you feel more
Yeah.
comfortable, so
Yeah.
that's totally, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm gonna choose to abstain.
Okay,
And then-
You know, and I brought this up, I'm new on all of this project and negotiation, so what you're asking for is just us to vote on new updated discussions as was proposed in the executive session?
correct,
Okay,
that's it.
And it's really negotiating, so it's authorizing us to negotiate further within the parameters that you guys are setting to try to get the deal done on the sports facility with the enhanced incentives.
okay.
And what we're really doing is going from 12, we're going from 12 million in total incentives to 15.5 million. And we're going to up to 100% of tax revenue on just the sports facility land, so that's sort of the total package.
Any other comments, thoughts, questions? Okay. We already got all in favor. All those opposed? Okay,
Okay,
passes.
Okay.
Negotiations.
sticking with the Epworth TIF. I sent the board kind of an update of our 10-year financials. Remember, that's not dollars we have today. But I want to start today, and then we're gonna do it over several meetings. It's a big topic. We probably can have separate meetings just on what we wanna do. But knowing the dates that this TIF expires, we need to start planning today. We don't wanna start planning in 2034, that the TIF's over, what are we going to do? And so it generates dollars every single year. You guys saw some of those numbers. Those are conservative numbers because I didn't include anything that wasn't already generating taxes. Some projects are open and built and all of those things. Other things we know are coming. So those are trying to be conservative, but knowing we have a 10-year runway, what I would like to do is right here. We already have the TIF expiration deadline. I kind of sent you the 10-year financial forecast. Those get updated annually, so we'll continue to update those when Baker Tilly updates with current numbers that we actually brought in the TIF, and then they look at ongoing projects. Those numbers will be updated. They probably are only gonna go in one direction. That there's more funds rather than less, but we will continue to update those. What I would really like to do is then have this group work on prioritizing projects. Timing those projects, like we'll talk about some road stuff. And the costs. So that we can see, we did this vision plan. And I kind of breaking it down into 4 categories for prior projects. There's some road and access work which we could do, which we're gonna talk about today. Doesn't mean we're doing it today. We all know there's a sewer and utility capacity need if this district builds out the way we think it's going to build out. And then what we've currently been doing is responding to projects brought to us. Okay, digestive care is gonna build in Warrick County, brand new facility, it's XYZ. I think we've done a good job of responding to positive projects in our community. Then there's the last one, which I don't think we have been doing, is being proactive in seeking the kinds of development and the kinds of projects we have. So we know we have a toolkit and we can only spend TIF in those 12 buckets, infrastructure, incentives, all of those things. So we're gonna talk just real briefly on the road access, just to get us thinking. We're not gonna we don't need to make any decisions, but we're gonna kind of check each one of these bullet points, maybe each meeting. And then have some big planning session to figure out which direction we're going. We did this vision plan. And so the vision plan showed us, in this area, we want these kind of things. We don't want these kind of things. We want green space and connectivity. And we want these kind of, this high density, and we want live, play, work, and we want all these things. And so there's 2 more things that come that we're gonna talk about as well. So we're gonna check each one of these. As we dial this area in, we wanna do some district branding, naming, and refining. Like, what do we dial in what we want? I see us having a name for this district. If it builds out the way we think, because if you're going up and you're going past the Nickel Plate district, or you're going out, in the Monon area or whatever, pick and choose what you say. This is right off the interstate. This is our front door. People driving by, I think, if it builds out the way that we've looked at or we visioned, would say like, hey, over there is the blank blank district, let's get dinner. As they're on the interstate. So we have some branding, naming, refining, wayfinding that we can do to define this district. And then we still need to dial in the zoning overlay, so we get the development that we want and not the development we don't want. I'm not gonna call out Dr. Redmond on things she doesn't wanna see more of, but if you were at the rent program, you heard it, but it's just something we all laugh at, so that's what we're gonna talk about.
It was right there, you couldn't help it.
I know.
It was right.
It's true.
Mhm.
Yeah, so let's talk about.
Did it include the 10th car wash?
Yeah.
That was just a guess, I really didn't know that, but
Alright, moving on.
I'm right there with you.
Moving on. When we talk about roadways and access, what I want the group to think about, and if you've been on the board a long time, it predates me. This group built the wellness trail. And the wellness trail was needed because we knew that healthcare was coming, we knew what we wanted, we knew, apartments and hotels and extending it to Grimm and all of those things that come with access. So in our project team meeting, which you guys are always invited to, we have a project team meeting with Morley and Herb and our team and a commissioner just to kind of stay on the same page where we get into the details of things. I had Morley look at some of the road work that we have been talking about as a county and as in this area. And so really quickly, just to orientate ourselves, number 3 is Orthopedic Drive. So from Deaconess's entrance past Orthopedic Associates, coming out at the Marathon on Grimm. Number 1 is an extension from the sports facility, that's Van Road, which does not exist. That's Van Road to basically the main north-south entrance into the Gateway District that Jordan's working on. Number 2, if you've ever been around the roundabout, there's only a 3-way exits on that roundabout. Those ugly closed barriers have been there for 10 years. Well, the goal was for that to connect up when Van Road connects. And then all of number 5 is like blowing Van Road all the way to the Ohio Township Park there at Libert. I put section 4 in there because it may make sense for this group and for development to do things in phases. There are people looking, one, Ohio Township and the park and all of that, the county's been looking at Van Road going through for a while. The county has orthopedic drive on a much future plan. You saw that we had Marathon built. You know, Marathon built 200 feet of that road. So roads can happen organically. And then when the next car wash comes next to Marathon, they'll build their section. And then this will build out over time. The flip side of that is let's get the wellness trail done, which was done in 2 sections. And let's open up this ground. And so that's the thought process of these roads. Projects that start building may dictate the priority. The priority is not really 1, 2, 3, 4. It could be. There are people looking at the corner at Epworth. We know what's going on up in 1 with the Gateway District, but we also know there are some potential projects south of Van on both this side of 2 and a potential, there's discussions now about maybe some stuff coming to what we call the 2 Raven parcels. The Ohio Township Park's gonna open in 2026. And all of these roads, I had Morley quote with an 8-foot wide path along the side, because we want to add connectivity everywhere we go. And to be different kinds of roads. So you're looking at, you know, maybe green space island in the middle, you're looking at boulevards. We don't want Van Road to be the way you speed home or the speed to get to Castle High School. Take Telephone, take Oak Grove, take 66. It's a destinational road if this develops the way we think. So really quickly, you can look right here at some of the costs.
So he just said the Raven property. Do you guys all know where the Raven property was in the last map? Because it's huge.
It's both
huge.
of these acres right here.
So that's 100 acres.
And it's owned by a
Well,
piece of
the
an
Raven
offshoot
family.
of the Raven Tire family. So, yeah, it's
That's a big deal.
one of the nicest parcels in Warrick County. So. Looking at costs. These are broken into, I should have labeled my map maybe A, B, C, D, and it would have been easier to follow. I didn't think of that until I saw this, but you can see these costs. Line D is Van Road from Libert to Grimm. It's the big number on the board, and it's all of 5. It's obviously way longer than the rest of them, and it has a lot of unique things. It's got to cross the floodway, so it has a bridge. You see that we kind of bent it, so some of it's on the northern property owner, some of it's on the southern property owner. And then there's some questions how it lines up where Van Road comes out from the east on Libert. There's an offset issue there. So there are some challenges, utilities and other
There's 6
things.
or 8 different utilities all sitting at that intersection, so we'll probably try to go around them.
So if you look at Orthopedic Drive. Grand total 2.2 million. You look at the first section of Van, which includes, you'll see these weird roundabouts that look like beans. And that's because the Gateway District to the north has these one-way boulevards with all this green space between them. So instead of a traditional roundabout, you do like a bean-shaped roundabout. I just put this up there to show you guys that these are desktop level plans, but the costs are broken down. What Morley normally does with a construction quote is the state of Indiana and NDOT put out stock numbers for when it's a state project on what rock number 6 costs, on what asphalt costs. They take those numbers and they put it into the linear feet. So these numbers come from somewhere, and these numbers get us to where we're at. These numbers may be a little high because right now there's a 30% contingency because we're at such an early level of design. you put in a big contingency, and as you dial in a project, you can bring that contingency down. So just note that all of those numbers, but to these numbers you're seeing, they all have line itemized, here's what it would cost to build. Those are today dollars, not 2029 dollars. So sticking with this, I think that's the last slide I had, I've got big things we can pull out on where the trail is and how it crosses, and there's still some details to work out on drainage and other things. I have a meeting with the county and Bobby Howard next week to just look at these, to get their eyes on it, so that the county doesn't say, whoa, 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 that has to be a 4-lane road, or you can't do that, or we don't want a bridge there, or whatever. But just, so think about the big numbers we have. Remember, over 10 years, we're talking of 60-some million dollars, 70, we're talking a lot of big numbers. This is a big number, $19 million. We wouldn't build all of this at once, but it may be that, I'll just make it up. Number 3 is important. It's important for the Epworth intersection, access to Deaconess, what property owner number 1 and 2 want to do on this corner, to have access to build the mixed use thing they may want to do, or the shopping district they want to do. Maybe that's priority. What we can start doing as this group, as we get through this whole exercise, is say, okay, let's plug in Orthopedic Drive in 2027. Let's plug in section 1 of Van Road to the first beam, because the Gateway District's moving forward and the neighborhood's going up. And let's plug that in as a 2028 project. And then we can go back to our financials and plug these numbers in and see where the sliders go and where we are at. So the only thing I prepared today is just these roads in the Epworth TIF that we think will open up access and development. Does that make sense? We don't have to decide. We certainly built it with trails because we want to get it right the first time.
I have a question, oh, sorry,
Yep.
but, and this is just because I don't know road construction.
Yep.
As far as like a land purchasing that, or how does that work?
That is a great question. I'm sorry I didn't address that. Here's my 2 cents. And I've kind of told, there's 3 property owners right here. This was the Allen property, this was the Bert Bonstein Trust maybe, and this is the Gribbs. Well, now Jack Rogers owns this property and some other investors own this property. These 3, well, 2 of these 3 came in and said, hey, when are you gonna do that road? And I said, hey, when are you gonna give us the land in the right of way? And so I do believe, remember we talked, it can happen organically. It can be a dead end street that doesn't help us. But I believe in all of these 6, Courtney's thing, because we deal with buying land for trails and for parks. It's a big expensive piece. I think that all of these, we should work with the property owners. We could do that ahead of, let's say it's a 2027 project or 2028 project. It can just be, if we all agree on the design and where it goes and whose right of way it is, we can work with the property owners early to say, hey, access is important to you, to what you're doing. We need you to, just like any of these other 4-H, anything else, we need you to partner with us. We can start working on this, but we can't buy the land and do this stuff too. So it's a great point. I think it's a way for us to work in development and get some of this right of way included and in place
For free.
so when we do build the road, it's there. So that's
So we built Warrick Wellness Trail, we paid a lot of those people in there, and those property values shot through the roof after Warrick Wellness Trail went in. That property, the Raven property is a good example, went from $19,000 an acre to it's probably $125,000 an acre.
on the north side of it.
Because the road's there, and that's same thing for every one of those roads he's got. As soon as you put roads there, it makes it easy access for whatever kind of development you want to put in. So we want you to partner with us, and we will do something that will
That's the goal.
immediately improve the value of your real estate.
Steve, did you have a question?
So I was gonna ask the same one, but also, what about Libert Road? Do you know the timeline on when they're gonna widen that?
So I do not. I will ask Bobby when we met. I've heard multiple times. I think I told you what his last answer was when we were talking about the trail.
2030 or 2032?
2032, I think. Now, if we wanted to accelerate that,
Because that project might move some of the utilities that are in our way.
and so. The issue,
I feel like that should be
make that
accelerated,
corner
but
easier.
all of this that has potential.
Well, you got those fire trucks now coming out.
Yep.
Yeah.
and it's so
Yeah,
tight.
it is. It's very.
It's,
Getting
it's,
through that.
I will ask Bobby for an update on that, but you know, they do their road planning on like just like NDOT was saying, it's 2030 projects. They already know all the 27, 28, 29 projects. They're just working on the 30 projects. Bobby and the county work the same way because of the way funding comes in. You have to let these projects know what you're working on years in advance.
They're almost finished with telephone.
Yep, it's getting there.
It's been a while.
So if that makes sense, that's just one of the bullet points here. We're gonna talk about these other ones. So that we can have a clear picture of roads are $18 and sewer participation is this many $1 million. And you know, these are the kind of projects we want. So we can make some good decisions and then we can put them in the calendar years of when we think we may be able to do it, because yeah, we can't fund all of that today because we know what we're sitting on today, but that was a 10-year lookout, which is where that money builds. So that,
I mean, we could build them all at once if you guys wanted to, because as soon as we bond them.
we can do it back to
It
back to back.
stretches the payments out over an extended period of time,
So I hope that makes
but
sense.
that's not likely to happen.
If you wanna get in the weeds on it, I have cost breakdowns for each of these sections. We're still fine tuning of things, so costs may go up or down, even like this, they designed this Grim section going north is only 2 lanes with a trail on the side. But the lane that, when it feeds from 66 is a 3 lane. So it's got a center, they call it suicide lane, I don't know why, but it's that turn lane where you can turn either way. So they're going back to the drawing board on expanding that to a 3-lane road. Cause I thought we should feed the same road and the same thing. So we're gonna continue this conversation. But I want this board to start thinking about that. And I'll say the same thing I've said multiple times. If you wanna be part of a committee or a smaller group. If the North Warwick Industrial Park or out by Alcoa is interested to you, or the wellness trail and the vision plan is important to you. We, Holly, Jacob and I, we will take whatever bandwidth we can get. We could do a in-between meetings, one other meeting a month where we just focus on one thing. And if you wanna be a part of that, I want the participation, not don't want the participation.
I would be happy to participate in the performing arts facility discussion if you guys need another body.
As long as you're not billing us, you can come for all.
I will not bill you
You will
unless
not-
I'm doing legal work.
You will not show up.
If I'm giving you my opinions on things other than law, I'd be happy to do it
That's,
for free.
no offense. I don't wanna, I'm married to an attorney. You
Gotcha.
can't- You can't be an
I
attorney.
can't turn the clock on.
In the
I
group.
can't turn the clock on.
Okay.
That's fine. You
Check.
got it.
So when he wears his bow tie, he's off the.
I don't have very many bow ties.
Okay, all that good?
Yes.
Okay, let's move to North Warwick really quick, and we've got a couple other things to get through, so, this is that Project Vanguard, just to let you know. They're looking at 125,000 square feet, they need a laydown yard, they need 100 parking spaces, they need ceiling heights and floor thicknesses. It's about 100 jobs. The jobs are pipe fitters, plumbers, and welders. They average about $93,000 a year, these jobs. I've talked to the Pathway School about how many welders they can put through their program. We've talked to the unions, we've talked to Work One. Right now, this project is competing with our market and 2 other larger markets. Tennessee and Kentucky. We're the smallest market and they are concerned that they're gonna be able to drive this workforce. That's their biggest concern. Their second concern, they're looking at Paul Saunders' building because it's already 150,000 square feet. And it has room for a laydown yard and this project, plumbing, welding, pipe fitting, think long steel and copper pipes. I don't know anything about that industry, but that's what they have. They need to pull in the building with a flatbed. unload that stuff, and the flatbed needs to pull out when they load finished projects that go to, this is a really strong company that does really big projects around the country, and they have locations, a lot of locations on the East Coast, and a lot of them through like the Rockies area, where they can get to any of their projects within like a day and a half, except for the Midwest. The biggest, well, one of the biggest issues, and we have a call with them next week, we've been providing some workforce data, been trying to connect them with a bunch of people. They need this laydown yard, and so they wanted to know if they could do a laydown yard in that yellow box. That yellow box is right on the road coming into the industrial park. I couldn't think of many other projects that have a laydown yard in front of their building. I've seen them even with the building. And we can ask for fencing, you know, our covenants that were put in place a long time ago in the North Warrick Industrial Park are pretty flexible for this board and the architectural committee to decide if it's a good fit, instead of having everyone fit in a box. But I think, I wasn't here, think that was done on purpose to give us some flexibility, so we didn't know what industry cluster would come out there and what's going on. Could you shield that? Could it be opaque fencing? Could it be 15 feet tall? I don't know. That's a little concern. I don't know if it's a concern that would chase us away from this project, but I just want to bring it to the board. They are trying to make a fast decision. I think, I'm pretty confident right now, they were looking at multiple places in Indiana. They've landed on only us as the Indiana location, so we're working with the state on incentives from the state perspective. We're gonna meet early next week. Be really nice jobs, good project. More on the jobs than the investment, because a lot of their stuff is actually like the actual welding work and all of that. So it's not they do some venting and have some welding bays, but you can see the investment over there as well.
Are they concerned about the 100 because we're just the smallest?
Yes. I think that's driven by their site selector.
Interesting.
They love the site and they love the site, the building and the interstate access.
Okay.
They are worried that they're gonna be able to fill that many jobs, and
Are
so
they all pretty specialized jobs as far as pipe fitters? and
some
stuff
of
like
them get into these unique, large scale projects that they work on. That's all I know.
that? But we've got enough
I
people.
would think that's.
We've got
a
enough
number
people
that
through
would
the.
be our niche.
I've always said 100 is the sweet spot.
Smaller.
Yeah.
So,
Split through the union.
I'll have, you guys can all jump on the call and tell them that, because we've tried to tell them that, we've sent them.
Talk to the unions.
We
what
have,
They got,
we have talked to the unions.
we gotta be fine.
So we'll see, I just wanted to give you an update on that, staying out there, I already gave you guys the Vivid and the Firefly, so we can skip that in EDAC. The next piece is we're gonna have a presentation from Courtney. And we've been looking at projects to do in the State Road 61 TIF. And so if you remember, I'm gonna go back to our financials there really quick. And show you the financials that you've seen over and over in the state. Here we go. So last year, in the white are projects we've accomplished, in the green are just potential projects. Last year, we did $140,000 to the Pathway School to expand the construction management pathway. They were able to buy equipment, they were using it right away, as far as I know.
Yep.
All good. Yankeetown Fire, they're in the TIF district, they're the first responder, you know, they're a secondary responder at Alcoa and Kaiser. They came in and told them, they were driving like a 1988 Suburban, that all their stuff rolled out every time they opened the doors. We got them a new vehicle, that was $90,000, that's great. We were looking at park projects, and we have a lot of them. In the next thing, and you can even see, I haven't moved anything, but we had Oak Grove Trail support, which is gonna be a longer term thing because the road's getting improved. So that can move down. We had some parking expansion at Van Road, which is kind of fallen in and out of favor for what needs to go over there. And what Courtney's gonna talk about, we addressed here briefly, is this AMAX expansion. AMAX is soccer and football over there on Lincoln Avenue. I had it pegged for 2027. In our forecasts. But at some point, we gotta go with the projects that are moving and that we can accomplish, because me personally, I wanna see progress every year. So this project is moving, Courtney will tell you about it. Just like Jenna abstained, Courtney will abstain, obviously. I don't get to vote, I'm on the Warrick Trails Board. It's a county park, So know that. But just like we talked about the public sector and its 501c3 coming next to it. Our parks are underfunded and the Parks Foundation Work Trails have to find dollars to help improve our parks and trails. So that's where we're at. Is that good enough?
Perfect.
Courtney has maybe some physical ones, but I can scroll through her
For
presentation.
your, that's stack.
I got it. All right. Start there. Just hand those around. All right, Courtney.
The one I passed
Go.
out was kind of more just.
Sorry, one more.
Oh.
Remember, oh, you're gonna get into it. Okay.
Okay.
I thought. You go. Sorry, Courtney.
Well, good.
I got excited.
So the front page is just kind of some bullet points of everything, and I'll go through. I hope everybody knows what Work Trails is, but just so you kind of are aware, we have built over 16 miles of trails throughout Warrick County. Since 2013, when it was established, we've built 6 trailheads. Just in our big mission is connecting schools, parks, and neighborhoods. Kind of throughout our county to improve quality of life and quality of life, so. AMAX, I don't, if everyone's from here, it is a very, I mean, hasn't been improved for 40+ years, okay? It was the exact same when I played soccer up there.
The county took it over from the town of,
Yes.
it was literally the town of Newburgh property, even though it wasn't connected to town of Newburgh.
Into,
Newburgh police would have to respond if there was an issue out there, and they just hadn't put a lot of dollars into that park because it was disconnected. And they, they didn't need to, the leagues were there, but the park, we've only had it for a year.
yes,
It's now a county park, the same way Freeman Park is.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
no, you're good. So again, I kind of listed a lot of things. There's, people park along Lincoln Avenue, which is not safe, gravel parking, there's no ADA stuff. So most of you know why kind of there needs to be improvement there. It is, there's a lot to be done. You want to hit the next one?
Yep, I'm on it.
Okay.
There we go.
So this is kind of a phased approach. We've already done phase 1. We had secured some grant and sponsorships for the trail to connect to AMAX, and then also redid the Nevins trailhead. So you don't realize, like, when you go out there what it used to look like, and then you look at it and you're like, oh, that was a dramatic difference. So it improved a lot. I will say-
That's actual.
That's it.
Yeah,
Go out there today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
So
At AMAX, it's soccer football.
Oh, wow.
Was that a recent completion?
last year.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
The bathrooms have been done. Have you used those soccer bathrooms in the past?
Yeah,
So like, that's not in the picture,
Yes.
but the bathrooms are done.
Yep.
There's a water fountain out there on the outside for the public.
Yep, we put bike
Trailhead.
loops, we paved the parking lot on one side. I will say, my kids play soccer and football out there, and the number of people that stopped and were like, this was the best thing ever. We
Yes.
couldn't, so grateful.
And we only had money to pave that one lot. to
Yes,
start.
we did, and then like we expanded.
Scary, so.
Yes, yeah, and so then we expanded and like put concrete, there was huge like mud pits on the other side, we could expand the concrete. Soccer was just extremely thrilled about everything. So that's what's been done, and that investment was about 800,000. What we did there, so that was phase 1 is done. And phase 2, we're currently working on. Right now, the far left picture is the actual concrete pad. We got that in before the snow hit. And that will be soccer's new, so football and soccer will get a new storage buildings. I got a grant that has some matching capabilities for those things. This is actually will be key for the Parks Department because the agreements between the Parks Department and soccer and Parks Department and football, they were at a standstill. And it was, the big thing was just storage, so.
There was a 99-year agreement with the town of Newburgh that didn't serve the leagues or town of Newburgh very well.
Mhm.
And so to break that and to get soccer and football playing together nicely and upgrade the facility, these buildings were needed. And there's gonna be new agreements with the Warrick County Parks Department that can get updated on a 5-year basis and stuff like that, that we need for all of our leagues.
Right, so the soccer building is under construction. It'll actually be the construction's done offsite, and then they'll put it together, little pieces here, in mid-March. Football, we did not get the concrete pad done before all the weather, so that will be done, whenever the weather's better. But this is about, $55,000 is what it's gonna cost. And then I'm also working on getting the land, which is north of the complex. I have a breakdown. The second page is actually kind of the vision as well. So I can kind of look over. But phase 3, I would love to start this summer. It is, so we'll have hopefully the land. I'm in final negotiations with that farmer. And then we would love to put a trail surrounding the whole facility and then additional parking, paved parking.
Here, I'll go to this one.
Oh, yeah, the trail on Lincoln Avenue would actually take away that parking, so it would allow a lot of safety.
If you've ever parked on Lincoln Avenue and have your kids get out of the car,
Oh my God,
it is,
yes, that's scary.
it is a scary situation.
It's very bad.
So we're gonna get rid of that parking from a
Remove
safety
that.
standpoint.
Possibility, and then also it allows connectivity for each side without having to cross through the fields. The parking on each side is very needed. So just, additional parking. And then the trail surrounding, so phase 4 is a turf field. A lot of sports teams have to go to Gable Complex. I'm only, right now, like this summer would be phase 2 and phase 3. Phase 4 is a whole nother fundraising goal because the turf field is very expensive.
Add back to rent, turf fields cost a lot of money. But a community our size needs one for our sports.
Yes.
And they constantly are going outside of Warrick County to rent that space.
And so keeping everybody here, you can actually bring some, small tournaments here if we have the capability of the turf field. What we would do in phase 3 would be kind of clear that area of the turf field, have it grass until you can raise funds, enough funds, but that would become a football and a soccer kind of field, but it would just not be turf until the second phase, but.
And it'd be open to the public and the other leagues, lacrosse and everything, to rent that field or use that field.
Mhm.
Soccer and football would get to use it for their stuff, but there'd be plenty of time for that field to be used
Yeah.
by
And then-
other
Is the
organizations.
top portion in the flood zone?
So this has been really fun. If you see, so what we would be purchasing of the land is the rectangle box.
Okay.
Because we would reparcelize that from Guy Cornell. There's been a lot of discussions. Doesn't mean no space up there.
Did you get some points?
Went on silent.
So this design has actually changed a little bit, just because that's what happens when you want to build a trail. But the little weird outline, I don't even know how to describe that weird outline, is actually, we had it surveyed and it would be wetlands. So
And
we
the
are,
cost to mediate. You
So-
can blow through wetlands, but
Yeah.
the cost is
so it would
substantial.
be well over 600,000 to mediate that.
So we had to change the design.
Mhm. Which we were fine with changing it. Again, you have to be flexible when you're doing a lot of this stuff. But this would be so cool. So it would be almost a mile, right around a mile, loop, trail loop, surrounding it, additional parking. We would get, some land space where we could clear, where you would get more green space. So you have the potential to, put a little playground at the top for other people. But then when families are out there, if you look, there's over 1,000 families in the spring and fall. I am one of them, with football and soccer and lacrosse and all of that. To be able, when I go out to any other big town for tournaments for my kids, everywhere has a trail surrounding. Like even Gable Complex has a trail. Like when you practice, like I would go walk. And so that way everybody's able to walk and while watching your kids play. And
Will football and soccer be paying significantly higher lease rates once the improvements are done?
yeah,
They don't pay any
they don't
lease
do
rates.
anything.
None of our sports leagues pay any lease to the county. They just manage their own facilities.
Yeah, so
Okay.
they're required specific maintenance and agreements and all of that.
Okay.
Like I said, phase 4 would then be the turf field. That's not in our funding right now. So so far, we have a sponsor for this facility. Oh, there, turf field, trail, and new parking. Yay.
Wetland in the back.
And wetlands in the back.
Alright.
So this project is about one.
Just phase 3.
Just solely phase 3, is 1.1 million. Right now, I have a sponsor for the field for 200 that's secured with a matching grant that goes, it's 100,000, so there's 300 completely secured right there. I've applied for the Indiana Trails Program grant, which is through the DNR. We should hear in the spring, that's 400,000. I will say they, like, I sent them when I had the sponsor, agreed upon, and they were like, oh, this is great, this makes another notch that you're higher up to get selected. And I said, okay, what are additional things? The final signature agreement of the land, which is expected here soon, and then they said local commitment will really kind of be a stronger for you to get the grant. So I am
So if the
asking
RDC funding is in effect in advance of that will help you get the grant.
if I can have a
I'm with
What's
you.
the timeline on the grant?
this spring. They said
So you,
April.
Yeah, what's
I've
that?
already applied.
Oh,
Yeah.
April.
okay, so.
March, April, I should
You
know.
So
can
we
hear
need to
back
make a decision
them
soon.
additional information.
Yes, you constantly can like have the contact and they just.
So we're gonna update them if we have the land in place.
And when do
To
you
make
need
the
RDC
expansion, which is a guy Cornell,
Mhm.
we've been going back and forth
You
with
would like to make that.
guys.
Well, I don't.
Keep going, Courtney, keep going.
So you need another 400,000.
Yes, so my request is 400,000 because a $400,000 investment for you guys could potentially bring in a $1.1 million project.
If we want to.
I have, like I said, quite a bit secured.
You've done a lot of work. I
Yes,
mean,
yeah, and then I was, if the support of the RDC would make that additional 400,000 highly likely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
May I ask a
Yeah,
question?
oh, of course.
The text is so small, I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I can
no,
barely
you're
read it.
good.
What is it, what's in the red?
Oh, the red are where the new buildings are going to be.
New buildings,
So
thank you.
that
And that says
concrete
turf
pad-
field?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
So
Yeah,
And what is the size, like? And forgive me if it's on here and I'm
No,
just
you're
thinking, what is the size of the turf field that you're looking?
So it would be
It's like
One-
multiple,
the
or
turf
one
field would be
gigantic-
one gigantic turf field, so it
Okay.
would be a 120 by 75.
okay.
to accommodate football and soccer,
Awesome, soccer.
and then for youth, you can go sideways across
sideways.
the smaller,
Yeah.
multiple fields.
Yeah.
You can go sideways for the youth.
Mhm.
Yes,
Okay.
if
Is that a
it needs it to be.
full-size soccer field and a full-size football field? Okay.
Yep. So we went through the regulations and I actually have emails with soccer.
But that's phase 4,
Yeah,
so we need a
that's not-
really
that
big.
is not-
That's nothing for funding
Yeah.
the 400,000 of the request.
So the 1.1 is just getting to where you might eventually get to even
The
work.
1.1 is
Yeah.
everything but the green
Yeah,
turf
which
field.
is amazing. So, yeah. Okay.
And I have talked with football, I have talked with soccer, and lacrosse of just kind of what they would like to see, what would work, and everyone is in just beyond full agreement. And I can't tell you the number of lacrosse that has been like, when is this happening? But like, we would love, 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 love this to be in Warrick County.
That building at the bottom,
Yes.
that's.
The concrete pad's already there, and so that's on the actually
That's the
soccer
existing
owns.
parking lot there,
Yes,
Mhm.
okay.
the
Down
gray,
here, way down here.
here, I'm just gonna.
Very bottom of
I'll
that.
kind of explain it maybe a little
Yeah.
easier,
Cause Lisa
So-
just.
Yeah,
this is Anderson,
right.
this is our trail we created that finished last year, and it does go all the way through here. This is the parking we paved, and then this is the trailhead we remodeled. Right now, if you go out there, you will see a concrete pad right here. Soccer is that's their storage, it's gonna be a 40 by 24, with 12-foot high, ceilings their garage doors are 12 by 12, in case you don't know. The whole pink surrounding is the trail. This actually will change, it will go on the back side of the
Mhm.
parking, so to let you know, and then the little X's are what we have to clear. So we will have to pay a little bit of mitigation in here
Mm-hmm.
and a tiny bit here. But that's perfectly fine. This isn't like 100% final, because we might like expand our trail and kind of go prettier route instead of straight. And have some, like I said, green space where you have younger siblings, they can just go play on the playground and that kind of
Is the
stuff.
parking lot at the bottom where the red right there?
Yeah, that's a park.
Is that paved or is that rock?
That's rock. So this is actually owned by soccer.
Well, this parcel is actually owned by the soccer league.
Yes.
Oh.
It's not part of the park that Warrick
Mhm.
County owns.
No, it is 100%.
So they bought that, so they have relief parking there because of.
A long time ago.
A field here where one league plays on that side. Does anybody have any other questions?
So the current ask is for the
400?
parking and the trail around.
Yes.
The land.
And the land.
And the land.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
And I will say, let's say I don't get the ITP grant, just that can happen. I would break this up into, we would break this up into different phases then. So then the 400,000 would go to doing a rock-based trail and then doing the west or the east end parking. So you kind of have barriers, so these pieces could still be there.
If Courtney doesn't get it, we'd be at 700,000
And how much?
and we would continue the progress out there to have a soft surface trail instead of a paved trail.
Right.
And add part of the parking, which progress and dollars help raise additional dollars.
Right.
Just like we talked about with 4-H. Letting them have the dollars for the 4-H building helps them fundraise to close the gap 100% of the time.
And so there's, the phases, and I will say with Warrick Trails, we haven't not kind of completed the projects. Some kind of might get delayed, but we phase it differently.
What was the total amount of that grant?
400.
So we'd be like matching, like we would be.
And you've got a commitment on the 200 and you feel good about that?
Yes, so that agreement signed, and then the sponsorship is signed,
So there's 300 committed.
100%. And I will say who is committed is heavily involved out there. And so he wouldn't care. It's Ken Butler, Jimmy Jones. And so we're deciding naming rights right now, or not naming rights,
How he wants
How
the
he
name
wants
to
it
be out there.
named, yeah. Yeah, so that he's already in agreement with the community foundation, and how their payments is much better than I think we've ever gotten. So, from the end of 8 terms. So.
Good job on all the.
Yeah.
And you just start to-
It's gotta be a lot.
Put your jacket on.
I think it makes sense, but.
Do I need to step out to chat? I'm gonna stay, so someone else is gonna have to.
I don't know that you have to step out, but
Yeah.
you are gonna
Okay.
abstain from whatever the
Yes.
conversation is, unless, if you wanna talk about Courtney.
Yeah.
We're talking about it.
It's okay. I did you that.
You know, I should. If you get it, that is the completion of the 1.1?
Yeah.
Yes. That's all of phase 3.
So if I get this request and the ITP, I could start construction.
And we start fundraising for the turf.
And this was something that we already had in the vision anyway. It's
We
just
did have
moving it
this-
forward.
That's right.
I thought
Yeah,
in 2027.
Because those other projects are now kind of taking, and so it wasn't something that wasn't on our radar anyway. It was something that was definitely being looked at. It just. Because of the circumstances and everything and the fact that you've got this possibility of getting that grant, it would just even help even more solidify.
But I will only add to this group that our parks are underfunded.
Mhm.
I know that because economic development funds all of the salaries and all the operations costs at Freeman Park. And the parks levy is limited, and so if we wanna see change at the Warrick County Parks. Whether that's the gatehouse or at AMAX, which we just took over, and the nonprofits have done wonderful things to get that going. We've gotta participate in some level or whatever. Whatever we wanna do, if those are the differences we wanna make.
We put this park and other parks in this district on purpose,
What do you
so we
think?
can fund,
That's a good
Because of-
point.
yeah.
so we can fund projects.
Because you can fund recreational amenities. When we drew that tip, we didn't just go around Alcoa and up through the solar project. We purposely included the recreational
Oh, okay.
3 parks.
Recognize the name.
Because we know the funding challenge that's there
So you can
to have good parks
Sign
in our
everything
community.
with the.
So do we have a motion to approve the $400,000 for
Now, you just said.
this project?
I
Was that a motion?
Were you making the motion? or
I'm
you-
helping Courtney out advance the meeting
yeah.
here, cause she
I mean,
can't say.
I can either make the motion or I'll second behind you, so I'll make a motion.
Alright, I'll second it. Okay, is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Opposed?
That's for it.
Okay, we will work on putting that, we will work on putting that in, on paper. For what that agreement looks like and what the commitment is and what they say they're gonna get done and all of those things. We've done that in the past, whether it's been the Tecumseh Trail up in Linville where we've helped fund. We'll document that donation, paper it and allow them to move forward. Okay. Any additional items? Other board business?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Second. Okay. We're out.
Yes.
The meeting.
Okay, good news.
Yeah, usually budget.